Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Eddie Marcus. What is the strategy for destroying heaven on earth? Heaven on earth, everybody is satisfied except somebody. And the reason that somebody is not satisfied is because that somebody has no knowledge of God or wants to replace God. Perhaps of selfishness or being overwhelmed by the Spirit. And its purpose is to deny the existence of heaven by denying the existence of God. Where in heavenliness, we all depend upon love. We all depend upon ourselves to participate and feeling confident that the outcome will be sufficient. Now, anything other than that is deception. And so that is the premise whereby you are deceived. What happens? You are told that heavenliness is not enough, that it's a ripoff, that if you tried a different game, you would be better off. And the reason and motivation for that is that some of you are smarter than others and deserve more. Some of you are more special than others and deserve more. And that those who deserve more should do so at the benefit of those who are getting more than their share. And so the intention is, what do? They come up with something legal or illegal that allows them to claim the resources of the earth as their own. Those resources that are used to provide everything that heaven offers are now to be claimed, well, the physical resources, should I say, are now to be claimed by deception. And in order for that to work, it needs you to concentrate on a new plan rather than engaging in the creative process. Now you engage in a different process. And that is not to make happiness for you and yours, but to destroy heaven for all by creating heaven for a few. And so, rather than just reach to the reservoir of goods and services as your needs, your wants, and your desires dictate, now you have money. Money is the source of all things. Food, clothing, shelter, education, transportation, travels, whatever you want. Money. But the money doesn't come from God, nor does the money come from God's plan. It comes from the one who wants to replace God, the one that deceives humanity. And most of his function starts out illegal, and then they get in power and make it legal. It's still wrong, but legal nonetheless. And what happens? They rob you of your health care, so that there are those who have extraordinary health care and those that have anywhere from that point all the way down to none. They rob you of your education, from those who can get the best education imaginable all the way down to those who can't even afford it at all. And likewise for housing and food and clothing and access to all of the other resources that we are so familiar with. But with that process also comes something that does not come with the heavenly program, and it's called lying and cheating and stealing and killing and terror and war and hatred and bigotry and racism. And these are just a few. There are so many other things that comes from deciding or making the choice to turn your back on God and go with another. Another might be what we call capitalism, or it might be socialism, it might be communism, it might be dictatorships, it might be whatever. They are all representatives of what one or the other we'll call the lesser of the evils. So anything out of the original plan of God is what we call evil. And you, the people, call your choice the lesser of the evils. But nevertheless, it is a choice by humankind for evil over God's way. And so that you will know what's going on in your society today, whether here in America, whether it's in China, whether it's in Russia, it's all instrumentations that have been permitted by God to allow you, permitted by that unseen spirit, to allow you to have your choice. Your choices are determined by the seeds you plant. Your choices are determined by what you sow. It also is what you reap. And so the world as it is today cannot blame God because it exists by the power of you. Whether you call yourself good or not, it exists because of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, a special message for those of you who believe in the fake God. If you turn from your wicked ways and stand up for God, God will stand with you. It will not be as others perceive it to be, those who are in your circle, those who don't understand God. It won't even perhaps be like you perceive it to be. But when it happens, you will thank God. Now, specifically, in your ignorance for following the deception, you will wake up one day and recognize it for what it is. It might be legal, but if it doesn't work for the benefit of all, it's wrong. It might be illegal, but if it works for the benefit of all, it's wrong. So those of you who are walking according to the footsteps of righteousness, you will stand up for what is right, even though it might be illegal. You will stand up for it because you give it authenticity. And I say these things to you, ladies and gentlemen, because I have taken these steps. I tell you, when you stand up against evil, when you stand up against unrighteousness, wherever it leads you, God will be with you. Many times it will lead you to prison. And I know those of you who are still falling in darkness, those of you who are still ignorant, you say you don't want to go to jail. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I have been in jail in the Philippines and Japan, military, and prisons here within the state. But I've never been broken because I've done what was right. And each time, whether in the Philippines, whether in Japan, whether in the States, I felt as I was one of the most important people on the face of the earth. Why? Because I was connected to God, doing the work of God, which says to inform you that you have not been listening to God, but this is a new day. And perhaps this evidence of walking in the prisons, not feeling any shame. You might not be able to do what you used to think about doing, like dressing good, eating good food, driving a nice car, going to your good job, making love to your woman. You might just be getting in your rack, getting up, being controlled. But that type of control, ladies and gentlemen, is forced. And that kind of control is acceptable by God. But if you got the choice, the only thing acceptable by God is to choose the way of love, to choose freedom, to choose to be obedient to that spirit, regardless of what anything or whatever else is said. And you will be blessed. So I call my first video, The Pathway to Heaven. And I call this video here, From Heaven to Hell. Thank you so very much. Goodbye.